Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fourth episode of Donkeys and Dragons, a chat with Lisa and Janet.
Hello. Great to see everybody again.
Yeah, I hope everybody is doing well today. So last time we talked about holistic testing and I showed this diagram. Somebody asked if we would talk about some of the specific practices that we are there. So today we're going to start with testing early. And what does that mean to us?
Yeah.
So let's stop the share and get into the practices.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's really, we have found that it works really well to start out by talking about the proposed features and changes that we're going to make and what risks those might include, because that's definitely where we want to focus our design and our testing, just so much to that. And, we're big fans of making things visible. And also we know that using some kind of visual tool to collaborate hands-on together helps us think laterally, helps us communicate better. So one of my favorite ways of talking about risk with a team is to use impact mapping. And that's a technique that Goiko Azdic came up with some years ago. He's got a great book on it, as well as a website, impactmapping.org. And it's a very simple process. It's a lot like mind mapping, if you're familiar with mind mapping. So you put your goal in the middle. What are you trying to accomplish with this change or this feature? What's the purpose? And then you talk about who could help us achieve this goal?
The actors.
Yes. And who might be in our way? Are there people who might be obstacles to implementing that goal? And we also as we set the goal, I forgot to mention this, but we use SMART goals. We try to measure them and make them timely and all the other things that go with that acronym of SMART goals. So who can help us, who can hinder us, and then how would these people help us, or how would they hinder us? So we're working on a software feature, but maybe we need help from the finance department to get funding for it, or to get some new equipment for a test environment, or something new in the cloud. Maybe we need help from the business people. Maybe we need help from customer support. So we have to even think outside of our team who can help us and how they'll help us. And so as we think through these things, the final part is the what. What are we going to deliver? And so we can go through each thread. So the marketing department could help us by doing some marketing research, perhaps. And that's how they could help us. And what would they deliver to us? Some analytics to help us decide how to implement the feature. So we can have these different streams going on the mind map. And that'll also help us figure out our learning feature, our MVP. Maybe there's just one thread of this that we can do to start with that delivers value to the customer. So it just helps us visualize all those things. I use impact mapping in a lot of different ways, but identifying risks for a new feature or a new change to our product is one of the ways. And that's the great thing, is there's so many different visual ways you can do it. And you can just find a way that works for you and your team.
Yeah, I think also what I like about impact mapping is when the whole team is involved, is that it really gives the team an understanding of why we are doing something and the impacts, who else is involved. So as a tester, then I know to think about, do we have to go talk to that? Is that going to be, what's going to go on? So it gives us a much bigger picture. So I really like impact mapping for the whole team to be working on when they talk about a feature. It tells you that why, and that why is so important. So
yeah, so often the product people come to us with the what. Here's what we want.
Yes.
And they may even tell us how to implement it. But they're not the software people. So by understanding what they want, we can do a better job of maybe cutting out the stuff that's not important to the customers and focusing on it, coming up with an MVP maybe, and doing it a lot more quickly. And also identifying we might need to build some new relationships with people we're not working with right now. So those things are really important to know early on.
Exactly. So that whole testing early, I think if we really think and concentrate about the risks, that brings out so many assumptions that we have never done. I like to start talking about risks from a quality attribute perspective, right? So when we're thinking about what's the worst thing that can happen, right? That might be our biggest risk. But if we just start thinking about the quality attributes for, whether, let's see, reliability, performance, security, perhaps even accessibility. The list is so long when we start thinking about those quality attributes. One of my favorite ways to get this conversation going is, this come from Margaret Deneen, and I wrote a blog post. It was my fourth one in a series of, what did I call it? It was testing versus quality management.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right. It was that series of 4. And I talked about the quality attributes there and the idea of a quality slider, right? So what are the most important attributes that your team wants to work on? And have every individual person say, from a scale of 1 to 10, I think that accessibility is really important. So identifying whether 1 is really important or 10 is really important, right? Everybody on the same scale. That's always tricky. But everybody on the team says, hey, I think that usability is really important, but reliability, not so important for this. It's only a website, right? So you talk about it and compare, how did everybody do? If you take that a step further and take those quality sliders to maybe the next level up, maybe to the people outside the team or another product team or the executives, start thinking about what is the most important, because this is how we start addressing some of those risks as well. So you start to talk about quality on a different perspective. And that's testing early.
Exactly.
Having those conversations, getting the assumptions out. Because I've seen a lot of teams that the tester will argue that, hey, we haven't tested accessibility. And then somebody else says, well, yeah, but that's not important, right? So getting everybody on that same page.
And focusing on the most important, most valuable pieces.
But there's lots of other ways to think about risks as well. So, for example, risk storming. I saw it played at Test Bash in Dublin a few years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago now. Has to be 3, 4, I don't know. But I haven't had the opportunity to use it myself. It looked like a very fun thing to do, but to get the important things out. But I've heard really good things about it. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I actually have had the opportunity to do it in an online format. So I like you, I did it at Test Bash Dublin and thought it was really cool. You use the test sphere cards from Baron. I don't know his last. I can't say his last name, but Baron, our friend Baron. And it looked really cool. And I got an opportunity to do it online. I was working at the time with Joao Proença, and he had, at the start of the pandemic, had copied the cards to make online images of them and used Google Jamboards so that you could go through each phase of the risk storming. So you start out with the quality heuristics. So there are a bunch of cards in here with different or quality attributes, different aspects of quality, just the same ones that Janet mentioned earlier. What are the, and then you pick 6 cards out of probably 20 or 30 of which are the most important ones for this particular product or this particular feature. And so you lay those out, there's like a little canvas for it. And then you start writing the risk down on virtual sticky notes for each card. And then you use the heuristics and the patterns and the techniques for how might you mitigate those risks. So it's a structured way to talk through those. And unfortunately, it takes twice as long to do it online because everything takes twice as long. to do online.
It does.
But Barron actually has turned it into an his own online version, which you can get to at riskstormingonline.com. So it's pretty awesome. And I think there's even a free version that you can use. But it does take a while. I would say for the average feature that you're talking about, you know, if you're doing an epic with several stories, it's probably going to take you at least 90 minutes. Now, my team I'm working with now, it's hard to get them to stop and do something like that for 90 minutes. And I'm just introducing these things. They're not used to these techniques. So I've still taken the Jamboard.
Small steps, right?
Yeah. They'd never used a Jamboard before, Google Jamboard. You could use Miro or Mural or, you know, whatever product you have, just the virtual sticky notes. And I list the potential quality attributes as text on the Jamboard, just to get them thinking more laterally. And then we color code. Maybe one color for risks, one color for questions, one color for tests that we know we need to do, or testing activities we know we'll need performance testing, we'll need security testing. And in 30 minutes, we can put together all the things that reflect our fears and hopes for this feature. And from that, if we want to make a more formal test plan, we can, or maybe we'll make a mind map based on that, or just something, again, using something visual to guide us as we're going through that, creating that feature and working on those stories. And it's working really well so far. People are really happy with it.
Again, the most important thing is to talk about it, bring it up in the open so that one person's not assuming this and the other person that, right? It makes a big difference. So yeah, risks are one of those things. If you don't bring it up in the beginning, you know it's going to hit you later on.
It's going to come back to bite you.
It is indeed. You can even just do things very simply. Like I mentioned, what's the worst thing that can happen?
The nightmare headlines game, right? I think Elizabeth.
At night, that's right. That's a great one.
What don't you want to see on Twitter the day after you deploy?
Or on the front page of the newsletter.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, there's always those things. All right, I think today we'll kind of wrap it up. Anything last minute things you want to talk about before we, kind of show our contact information so people can find us?
I would just say we've given some examples of some frameworks and techniques you can use. The most important thing to me is get people using their hands, get people writing, because some people won't speak up, but they'll write on a sticky note, virtual or otherwise. Get a collaborative tool, do some real-time collaboration, work together on it. It's a real anti-pattern for me as a tester to sit by myself and write up all the risks. I might do that anyway, but I still need to share that with other people and see what they're thinking about. So having this brainstorming aspect to it is important.
Yes, and we'd also love to hear anything that you do that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah,
around risks.
We'd love to discover something new.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm just going to kind of share the screen so that you can know how to get a hold of us. You might want to look up a little bit more about the fellowship, or read our books. And here's how you contact us. We love to get emails. We're both on Twitter, so you can DM us if you want to. But please do.
Yeah, if you want to know more about these techniques or again, share something you're using, maybe we could get into it next episode.
Exactly. Yes, if you have ideas, let us know. So for today, we'll say adios, goodbye, so long, wherever you are in the world. Have a good day.
Yes, happy testing.